guys, it is Brooke from the Junk Parlor, and I am hopping on to give you a new video. I feel like I've really been slacking on my videos lately, and this one isn't anything humongously curated, but I'm going to talk to you about a couple of my unique experiences out on Pix. So I have a few things on my to-do list today. One of them is I'm working on my shipping station down in the basement storage room of our new house. But before I get going on my little checklist of things to do, I wanted to hop on here and do a video. You are welcome. I'm coming to you with a wet hair because I did take my weekly shower. You are welcome. I will be sharing a video of the shipping station in the basement of the new house. So when we moved from 4 acres, which you need to go back and watch some old videos of our old place and our new place. But when we moved, hubby was like, oh, you can turn this storage room into your, new office. Mind you, I had 2,000 square foot building. And now I am in a basement that has no windows and like 4 light bulbs. It's a decent size, but it is like a dark dungeon in there. And we had all of our home stuff that needs to be in storage, plus all of my work stuff. And, we are a little more than 2 months into the new house. I am just now getting the shipping situation taken care of because I started selling again and I am sick of sitting on the floor to try and pack up items. I reference it like wrapping Christmas presents. I've always been a person who wants to do things in bulk, have an assembly line, have a process, have a system. When I am wrapping Christmas presents, I would rather wait until I have every present that I'm going to have, get all my stuff out, wrap everything at once. And that's kind of how I am with shipping as well. It's like I want to do it in bulk. I just don't want to package one thing at a time. I don't want to get everything out, squat on the floor to try and get things packed. I like to have a system. So I'm very excited about that. Then also I put this apple in the back so I would remind myself that this is my latest video that I have edited and ready to go, but I presented it to a group for a craftathon. So I'm going to wait and release that probably next week, just so the people that were in the craftathon get to see that first. And I will just vent a little bit more before I actually get started with the point of today's video, which is talking to you about some interesting things that have happened to me on Pix. But I am going to go and take things to the post office, to UPS, and I just wanted to throw that in there because it's another wonderful thing about living in a big community. Note sarcasm, because we have the little metal mailboxes that you have to do a key. I literally can't fit anything in that is not 100% paper. And so I didn't plan ahead early enough to say that I needed a pickup. I'm gonna go deliver my packages. I really, really, really miss the countryside because of that too. Okay, so let's get to the point on this week's video, which is basically random things that happen to Brooke on Pix. Now, I'm going to give you 2 examples of basically the same thing happening to me, but in different situations. So be sure to listen to the end so you can hear it the first time, because I am going to start with the most recent time that this happened, which was probably Easter. We were going down to spend Easter with my in-laws, but also I had convinced my husband to go with me, drop the kids off, go with me to pick up a MJB coffee tin that I collect. And while we were there, we were going to stop and shop with a couple girls that are in my Staging Your Antique Shop group. So I figured, I don't even know, 5-6 hour drive is totally worth it. And would give us a little date time as well. So my family never lets me stop at an antique mall, an antique shop, a thrift store. If we are driving to visit family, if we were driving on vacation, if we are driving to a ball game, Basically, the only time I get a stop is if I am on my own. This was a coordinated, planned event so that I could actually shop. So we drop the kids off at my mother-in-law's and we go on down and shop. And then just kind of, we didn't know the area super well. We didn't really want to get off track too much because, you know, sometimes you go to a shop and, you know, 30 minutes in and out, you're like, this isn't for me. Other times you spend like 3 hours there. So we didn't want to go someplace and then one, it be not worth the drive, or two, we ended up spending way too much time. We came back to my mother-in-law's. I dropped my husband off, and because this was a pre-scheduled thing, he let me go shopping, because normally what happens is we go visit his family and I'm not permitted to leave the house. Such a bummer. This time was an exception. There were multiple places that I had never been to that looked super good. So I go and visit those. And speaking of picking up the MJB coffee tin, there must have been a collector who had an auction recently and lots of dealers went to this auction or something. I am just guessing. This is all speculation. Because at one of the antique malls, one guy had like 2 MJB tins, another guy had one, or lady, another booth had one. I mean, they were everywhere. And up until that point, I had hardly ever see an MJB tin out in the wild in real life. I resisted buying them because they were the price that I would sell them at, which when they're for my own collection, it really shouldn't matter. But I'm always thinking ahead because I know that at some point I will be deciding to collect something new and I will sell something. Like actually, I just sold one of my MJB tins in a sale last week. So I do take into consideration what I spend, even if it's for my own collection. Hey guys, if you like my videos, please be sure to like the page, leave a comment, and go ahead and ring that bell so you get notified anytime there is a new video. And I might as well back up a little bit. When I'm talking to you about unique experiences picking, these are like things that probably haven't happened to anyone else. I mean, maybe, but anybody who's a dealer goes out pickings in barns and people's homes, abandoned homes, places where an elderly person has lived basically unassisted for a long time. You know, you're dealing with raccoon poo, you're dealing with hoarders, you're dealing with moldy, mildewy, leaky roofs, falling through floors. I mean, all of that is like normal, nothing too shocking. This time is a little bit different. I go to the place that I go to, this is like the last place. So I go to, maybe this is the third place I go to. It is 2 floors. I shop the main floor and it's kind of, you know, there's some new items mixed in, there's some old things, but you know, it was just more the experience. Like I've literally been going to my mother-in-law's for 20, 30 years and I'd never been there before. I went slow. I was on my own. No one was rushing me. I didn't have to be anywhere. Well, it turns out they were closing pretty soon, but so I did have to speed up. But you get the idea. Ready to go upstairs. And an older lady comes in carrying a tote of stuff for her booth. And I kind of see her hobbling along. And when I say older, she is just older than me. She is probably 50s or 60s. She's not like old. She comes in carrying this tote, you know, struggling a little bit, breathing hard, and she sets the tote down at the bottom of the stairs. I don't even know what she did after that because it's been a while, but anyway, she alluded to the fact that she wasn't going to be able to carry that upstairs. So I think maybe she said like, I got to wait for my girlfriend to come back down, you know, go ahead and go up the stairs. And, you know, Brooke being the nice person she is, I mean, I'm good at heavy lifting. I'm like, oh, I can carry that up the stairs for you. She's like, oh, you know, no, I'll just wait for my friend. I'm like, I'm going up there anyway, not a big deal, right? Then what I do is I proceed to squat. And then I go upstairs. The tote wasn't that heavy, not a big deal. I get to the top of the stairs and again, I squat. Now, why does Brooke squat like this? She squats like this because she has lifted enough heavy items to know that she doesn't want to hurt her back. I had no idea how heavy this was going to be. So I am all about good posture and good form, right? I get to the top of the stairs and again, an older couple, let's say that these guys are 60 to 70. The wife is like to the husband, and the husband's like looking at me. You know, me, I don't want to sound like I'm something special or not, but you know, I have been in public before where people will be like, oh, Brooke, the Junk Parlor. Like, you know, I watch you on Facebook, I've bought stuff from you, whatever, okay? So I just figured she was saying something about maybe recognizing me. I mean, it's not that far of a drive. I mean, we're about 3 hours away from my hometown before we moved. So I didn't really think anything of it. So I'm walking around that second floor shopping and I see them again and she is whispering to him again and I just smile. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty approachable. Blah, blah, blah. I shop, you know, squatting and looking at things, bending over, blah, blah, blah. And then I left. I get to my mother-in-law's. We ate dinner. We were playing cards. And I was sitting on a wooden chair, probably something like this. And my mother-in-law has pads on the chairs. And maybe I sat down in a chair that didn't have one or the pad was scooted over. I'm like, man, my butt is cold. Take my hand, put it on my butt, and my entire ass is hanging out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I knew immediately when I had ripped them out because when else would I have ripped them out other than squatting to carry that tote upstairs? And I stand up and I show everybody my butt that's at the kitchen table. And I'm like, how did nobody see this? And they're like, we didn't even notice. Because when I was standing up, the slit, which was literally as big as my hand, like over 6 inches long, the slit, you know, you couldn't really see my ass. I mean, mind you, I wear a thong. So it was literally my bare ass hanging out the whole time I was shopping. I stand up, you can't really see it, but anytime I bent over, so the lady must have seen my butt come out. I don't know if I ripped it on the way up. I don't know if I ripped it when I set it down. Oh my gosh. And I was clueless. Mind you, I had just bought those jeans at the Buckle. So anybody who shops at the Buckle, you know that the jeans are not cheap. I think they were the Buckle Black brand. Not cheap, over $100. I literally had just bought them. I'm trying to think. I think it was had been 3 weeks that I'd had those jeans. And like my husband was nice enough to say when it first happened, he's like, those aren't even tight on you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but obviously they're either poorly made or they had a weak spot or whatever. That when I squatted, that was it. I luckily had the receipt. I took them back to the Buckle and I said, put them on the counter. And I'm like, here's what happened to my pants in public and I didn't know about it. And I've only had them for 3 weeks. And not like I've worn them every day for 3 weeks either. So embarrassing. That is a one time. I told you at the beginning of the video to stick around until the end because I was going to tell you that I had this happen twice. Now, the second time that this happened, I didn't know it. I was even in closer proximity with multiple people who literally would have been staring at my ass. And that time my jeans were old and I'd been sharing them with my daughter. They might fit her a little bit more snugly and she would ride them or wear them to ride the horse. So she does bareback, she does on the saddle. And so I just figured all of that friction made that pair really weak. So I go on a pick and I'm meeting this lady for the first time. She follows me on Facebook and she gave me a tour of her home. We dig through her barn. I make a pile of stuff that I want. We talk money. I put things in totes. Again, good form. I'm squatting down to pick up the totes and I thought that I heard something. Hindsight, I thought that I heard something one of those squats. She never said anything. I never even thought to touch my butt. and I went about the day. Okay, so I loaded the whole truck up. Well, because I was on a pick, it was a couple hours away, so I was going past another shop who I am friends with, that husband and wife, and I've talked to them numerous times, and I don't know if I've talked to him since my butt was hanging out. Surely I have, but I kind of don't think that I have, because I wanted to be like, did you see my butt hanging out and then you didn't say anything to me? So I stop at their place, shop. The whole time he is following me around. I mean, granted, we're talking. I'm not even thinking anything of it. We're friends. We both sell stuff. We live somewhat close to each other. You know, I didn't think anything weird about it. I squatted down on the floor again, did, shop, bent over, blah, blah, blah. I even had to reach into my truck to get my checkbook. So I had my butt hanging out while I was reaching in, and he was standing right there. Oh my gosh. So I get home, again, clueless up until this point. I get home, and this time I can't reenact it because I don't have a stool. I take and I put my leg up on what is the stool right here, okay? It was one of those vintage red vinyl ones. And I was like, my butt is cold. My butt is touching the stool. What is going on? So I go into the house. I don't even know if I went into the house or if I took my pants off right there in the shop. And I take my pants off, and that rip was like a whole foot. Like, again, I wear a thong. So literally my ass cheek was hanging out the whole time I was at her place, the whole time I was at his place. I don't think that I got gas or did anything. It's been a while. But I was like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing, and how did nobody tell me? So the good thing is I can laugh about it. I can laugh at myself. It's totally funny. And obviously I'm not too embarrassed because I am telling all of you. And I am sure that I am not the only one that this has happened to. So whether you're also a dealer and we're out picking or antiquing, or whether you were just doing whatever and you ripped your pants open and your butt was hanging out, whether you knew it or not, let's laugh about it together. I want to hear your story. Put it down in comments so we can all have a good chuckle.